Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Night Lapse mode on your HERO4 camera to record a night lapse of a dark night sky. A night lapse is simply a series of long exposure photos that can be put together into a video. I'm going to show you how to choose a scene, set up your camera to shoot a night lapse, and then we'll edit the photos into a time-lapse video using GoPro Studio. When choosing a scene, you don't want to select somewhere that's completely dark. Your camera still needs some light coming in to write an image onto the sensor, even if it's just light from stars or reflections on water, but you need some kind of light. If you're filming complete darkness, that's what you're going to get in your photos, even at the highest ISO and the longest shutter time. This scene worked really well for a single night photo, but it really didn't have enough movement to take a whole night lapse of it. The scene that I ended up choosing was this one because I really liked the focal point and the movement of the Big Dipper moving across the night sky. I'm going to show you how to set up your camera to shoot a night lapse. So once your camera is on, just press the front power mode button until you get to multi-shot mode. Then you can press the settings tag button on the left side here to open up the settings menu. Press the top button here to select until it comes up as night lapse. And then you can press the mode button to go down and change the shutter time. I'm going to have it at 30 seconds to have the maximum amount of light coming into the camera. And then press the mode button again. That takes you to interval. I'm going to have it at a continuous interval so it continuously takes photos all night long. And this is the photo size. I'm going to keep it at 12 megapixel wide. I'm going to keep spot meter off. And I'm going to turn ProTune on here by pressing this top button. And then I'm going to have the white balance at 3000K, which works really well for night shots. I'm going to keep it at GoPro color. I'm going to have the maximum ISO possible because it's a no moon night and it's a really dark night sky, so I want as much light as possible. If you're filming on a night with a moon, you can lower the ISO, you'll get less noise in your photos. I'm going to keep it at medium sharpness and exit out of the settings menu. Make sure you test out your exposure before you shoot a whole night of night lapse photos. You don't want to wake up in the morning and look at your photos and realize that your exposure was off. So take a couple photos and look at them on the touch display screen if you have the silver edition, or use the GoPro app with the black edition, or the LCD backpack, and view your shots just to make sure you've got the right exposure. I set my camera up on the tripod that comes in the base of the 3-way mount from GoPro, and I angled the camera back to look up at the night sky with just the palm trees in the base of the frame. Since I wanted to do an all-night time-lapse, I used the frame here, which gave me access to the USB port on the side of the camera. That way I could plug in a portable USB charger and power my GoPro with an external power device. To power my camera with an external power device, I just used my laptop when it was closed and plugged the USB cable into the port here on the camera. And the charging light came on, so it was charging the battery. Just push the front mode button and that'll turn your camera on. If your camera doesn't come straight into the mode that you can actually use your camera, push the power mode button again, it should bring it into an active mode. You really want to make sure your camera is mounted in a stable position so it's not going to move throughout the night. Any movement from the camera will ruin that frame. If you're filming on a night where it's possible there's going to be dew, you probably don't want to use the frame because it leaves your camera unprotected here. You can use the skeleton housing if you have that. That leaves access to the USB port here. Or else you can do a shorter time lapse using the battery or the battery backpack and have your camera in the waterproof housing. After you test some shots and make sure your exposure is correct for the shot you're shooting, you can go ahead and push the button and start your night lapse. After you've taken your night lapse, import them to your computer. You can import them directly through GoPro Studio, but I like to drag them into a folder of their own. Like right here, I made a night lapse photos folder. I would like to put them in there so I can make sure I got all the photos into one folder and it's easy to import. And also if you want to batch process them in a program like Lightroom, you can do that more easily. But in this tutorial, I'm going to do all the editing in GoPro Studio. So go ahead and open GoPro Studio. And let's name the project so it can do autosaves as you work on the project. So go File, Save Project. And I'm going to call it Night Lapse. And push Save. And then let's import those photos. So click over here, Import New Files. And find the folder you just put all the photos into. Mine's called Night Lapse Photos. And you can just click on that folder as long as all the photos inside of that folder are from your night lapse. And then click Open. And now it's building a movie out of all those images that you took. GoPro Studio is really easy to make time-lapse movies with. It just automatically puts the pictures together. If you started and stopped recording for some reason, it'll separate them into different files. but you can put them together in the next step. Now that our photos are compiled into a video here, click on that file and it'll bring it up into the editing window here. And if you click play, it's going to play choppy. It doesn't show all of the frames of the time lapse in the editing window, but it won't be like that when you export the file. So go down here to advanced settings, and by default it's at 29.97, which is 30 frames a second. You can leave it at that if you want to. I'm just going to change it to 24 frames a second and click OK. And then you can name it if you want over here, file name, but you don't need to. And I'm going to add clip to conversion list. And when it pops up over here, you can just click convert and it'll start converting your file and get you ready for step 2, where you can edit. After your file is finished converting, over here it'll say proceed to step 2. You can click proceed to step 2. Select a blank template here on the left and click create. And now click on your file on the left side here, and that'll bring it up into the editing window. If you have multiple files, if you stopped recording, you can drag them all into here and that'll put them back together. So now that the image is in the editing window, I'm going to go ahead and make some image adjustments to it to adjust the colors a bit. So I'm going to start out with a preset of ProTune, which will give it some rich blue and some contrast. That made the sky look a lot darker. I'm also going to change over here playback to half resolution, just so it doesn't take as much memory on the computer. Then I'm also going to go ahead and move the presets back down and make some image adjustments. I'm going to brighten it just a little bit and bring the sharpness back down to about the middle point there. You can see the duration down here is 38 seconds. I'm actually going to go ahead and speed the video up a little bit so that it's a little bit shorter time lapse. I'm going to make it about 24 seconds. I'm going to double the speed of it. So I'm going to go here and go 200%. And when I do that, this flux option comes up. Flux is really cool for super slow motion, but it's not good for time lapse. So unclick that so it doesn't add flux to your video. You can watch my other tutorial to learn about how using flux for super slow motion. It's a really cool added feature for GoPro Studio. And then I'm going to preview the clip just to see what it looks like. It's going to play choppy, but when I export it, it won't be choppy. So it looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to drag it down into the storyboard down here and do a couple cropping adjustments. You can see the duration of the clip now is 19 seconds, which is fine for you guys to watch it. It goes a little quicker. When you drag it into the storyboard, you want to make it conform to a wide screen. Right here it's standard 4:3 aspect ratio, and we want to make it fit to a widescreen frame. So there's two ways of doing that. Click down here to highlight it so you can see the preview, and you can adjust the framing to crop it by doing a vertical adjustment here. You can go up or down to crop your image if you don't want to change the look of your video, but I actually want to keep everything that's in the photo, so I'm going to go ahead and use a preset to get it to conform to widescreen, this is similar to Super View, and it's the 4:3 to wide preset, and that's going to stretch everything down to fit into a widescreen frame. And the way this is previewing, once again, is not how it's going to export. It'll export smooth. And once you're happy with the image quality, you can go over here to step 3 export and export your edited file. So click on step 3 export, and I'm going to export this one as 4K. If it comes up here as 1080p, you can click custom, and that'll give you the option down here under image size. You can export as 4K. All of the 12 megapixel files from the GoPro Hero 4s can be edited to 4K video. I'm going to slide the quality up to 40 megabits per second just to get some good quality. It'll make a larger file, but you'll have a good quality video, especially since it's for 4K. And then I'll give it a name, Night Lapse, and export the file. If you need more help on how to use your camera, check out my books on Amazon.com, or you can click the link below. Thanks for watching and enjoy making some fun videos.